Hello and welcome back to Joe's Math Tools. In our session today, we are calculating the circumference of our circle when we're given the diameter. We're using the circumference formula for the radius, and our pi is equal to 22/7. And if you're ready to see how this is done, let's get started. Okay, so in our question today, we are calculating the circumference of our circle when our pi is equal to 22/7 and our radius is being requested of us. However, we are given the diameter. So to begin, we're going to start off by first calculating our radius. And we know that to find our radius, since it is half the length of the diameter, that means our diameter would be divided by 2 to find my radius. So that means that if my diameter is 9, I will be dividing that in half to get the length of my radius. And we know that when we divide 2 into 9, this is going to give us a decimal number because 2 will go into 9 4 times. 4 times 2 will give us 8. 9 minus 8 gives us a difference of 1. And remember, this is where we input our decimal point. We're going to now add in a 0. Bring down that 0, change our 1 into 10. 2 will divide into 10 5 times, and 5 times 2 is equal to 10, and 10 minus 10 is 0. So we'll find that our radius is going to be 4 and 5/10 centimeters. So now that we have our radius, let's begin applying our substitution. So we know that our 2 will return back to our formula. Our pi is equal to 22/7 and our radius is equal to 4 and 5/10. And now let's begin our calculation. Remember that we're multiplying all of our numbers in our numerator or the top numbers together. So we're just going to clean that up a little bit so that we can see what that looks like. And everything will remain over our denominator of 7. So let's begin. I'm going to start off by first multiplying my 2 to 22. So 22 times 2 will equal to 44. And of course, I will be just plugging them in as we go through the working so that we can follow along with our working a little bit easier. I don't want anybody to get a little bit confused as we go through the working, trying to figure out where we got our numbers from. So now let's multiply in our last step my 44 times 4.5. 5 times 4 is 20. We'll put our 0, carry the 2. 5 times 4 is 20 plus 2 will equal to 22. We're going to now add in a 0 and begin multiplying by our 4. So 4 times 4 is 16. We'll put our 6, carry the 1. 4 times 4 is 16 plus 1 will give us 17. We will now sum our numbers together. So 0 plus 0 is 0. 2 plus 6 is 8. 2 plus 7 is 9. And we're going to bring down our 1. Now going back to our numbers, we know that in 44 there are no digits behind the decimal point. 4.5, we have one digit behind the decimal point. So in total, we should have one digit behind the decimal point in our answer. So we're going to count 1 and input that decimal point right between our 8 and our 0. So our circumference so far, we have 198. Remember that 198.0 is the same thing as 198. The only difference is that the point 0 is kind of written more as a decimal form, but this is just a whole number. So the values aren't different. They are the exact same number. So now we're going to get into our long division, where we will be dividing our 7 into our 198. And of course, I will be going to one digit behind the decimal point. So 7 can divide into 1 since 1 is less than 7. So we'll put in our 0 as our placeholder. So 7 will divide into 19 twice. 2 times 7 is 14. When 19 subtracts 14, we have a difference of 5. We're going to bring down our 8, changing 5 into 58. 7 divides into 58 8 times. 8 times 7 is 56. When 58 subtracts 56, we have a difference of 2. We'll add in our decimal point behind our dividend, behind our quotient, add a 0, bring down that 0, changing 2 into 20. 7 will divide into 20 twice. 2 times 7 is equal to 14. And when 20 subtracts 14, we will have a difference of 6. And I am going to stop there in my division and say that my circumference then is equal to 28 and 2/10. That's in centimeters, and I will indicate that that's the 1 digit behind my decimal point. Okay, so there you have it. We just calculate the circumference of our circle when we're using the circumference formula for the radius. We're using pi, which is 22/7, and we are given the diameter. So yes, this may seem like a lot of work. Remember that my working may seem like much because I went through every step to make sure that you're able to follow along, but as you get better and your skills develop, you won't necessarily have to do all of the tedious working that I did here. But remember that you just need to get some practice in, continue to develop your skills, and we will see you right here in the next video on Jules Math Tools, where we aim to make math easy.